Town of Rome Board meeting to order for Thursday, January 20th, 2022 at 5 o'clock. Number 2, can I get a roll call starting from my left, please?
Tweesinger here.
Minter here.
Hasdell here.
Goldman here.
Bauerheim here.
Number 3, certified posting of the meeting, please.
I certify that on Monday, January 17th, 2022, the agenda for the Town of Rome Board meeting for Thursday, January 20th, 2022 was posted emailed to the Wisconsin Rapids Tribune at 3:04 p.m., posted at the Rome Town Hall at 3 p.m., posted at Leicester Public Library of Rome at 4:08 p.m., and posted at the Nakusa Port Edward State Bank at 4:05 p.m.
Thank you. Number 4, can I get a motion to approve the agenda, please?
So moved.
I'll second with one correction. Item 9 should say January 6, 2022, not 21.
Any further comments or discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Number 5, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Number 6, citizen comments. During the citizen comment period of the agenda, the town board welcomes comments from any town resident, not a member of the town board, on any item not on the agenda. Please know that pursuant to state law, the board cannot engage in conversation with you, but may ask questions. The board may refer the item to staff, a standing committee, or a future board agenda for discussion and action. Each person wishing to speak will have up to 3 minutes to speak. Speakers are asked to submit a card to the clerk treasurer providing their name, address, and topic for discussion. The board will also take comment from the public on agenda items as called by the chair, but not during the citizen comment. Please note that once the board begins discussion on an item, no further comment will be allowed from the public on that issue. So we do have a comment here from Mr. Randall Steyer. Could you please approach the podium?
Good evening.
Your name and address, please.
Randall Steyer, 450 9th Drive. Looking to get 9th Drive closed to UTV and ATV traffic. Reasons? I'm new to this.
Okay.
So-
Just go ahead and talk. I mean, we can't discuss, but you can talk.
Okay, I got a kind of a little list. Due to excessive speed, let's see, safety of my family, destruction of the road, which I have a lot of photographs of the road being tore up and people doing donuts and whole shots, which I live on and then have to drive down the road. And I do try to grade it and maintain it myself, just because it happens weekly. Unable to use my yard most days due to the dust from the amount of ATVs and UTVs, which is normally on a day-to-day on the weekend is anywhere from like 200 to 400 ATVs and UTVs down the road in speeds of probably 50 to 80 miles an hour. Not all, but a good amount are going quite fast. My wife doesn't walk anymore on the weekends because of the ATV traffic. They don't slow down. They come past the house fast. My kid is nervous to ride his bicycle down the road now. So that's pretty much all I got.
Anybody have any questions?
Are you referring to 9th Avenue or 9th Drive?
Ninth-
Just for
Ninth
clarity.
Drive.
Okay.
The dirt road south on 9th
Okay,
Drive.
so on
I'm
the-
the only house down on the end there, and it gets pretty crazy
Okay.
and pretty unsafe.
What is the limit on that?
Speed limit is
road?
55.
55?
It's
But-
still travel the same speed as other traffic.
I was told by it's 55
Yes.
on posted road, yeah, soon to be 55. And then, and what I can find out from the thing that legally, the speed limit, I think for the ATVs, because it's not a designated route, but it's open ATV traffic, is only 10 miles an hour. And that's not obeyed by any means.
I don't think that's true in this case, but we
It
can.
is true. It's a route is no longer followed by those rules of somebody walking, biking, a home within 150 feet of the road, but this is not an actual route. It is just open to ATV traffic, which then follows underneath that law of 10 miles an hour at the house.
We would have to discuss that. Chief
Yep,
Lobby
I
would be
mean,
the,
I've looked into it.
okay. Have you had a conversation with Chief Lobby?
I have talked to the police department in the past and asked for that to be patrolled, and it never has, to my knowledge.
You may refer this to Jason?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, and your address and a contact is on the orange card?
Yeah. No phone number.
No phone
Okay,
number.
let's get a phone number on it before you would leave tonight, if you wanted to just add that now.
I can do that, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. No action contemplated except possible referral to future agenda. Number 7, information updates, meeting recaps, recent correspondence, current events, and announcements. Jerry, would you like to start?
Yeah, the Rome Snow Bands will be sponsoring their first annual fishery on Petenwell, Lake Petenwell, Saturday, starting from 7 till 3 p.m. Besides the fishing contest, there's gonna be games and meat raffle and other raffles and a lot of fun. So everybody come out and fish, have fun.
Last year, that was a pretty big event, so it was pretty nice.
This is the inaugural, so.
Last year was VFW had put one on at the same time.
Okay. I was thinking of the frolic, or not the frolic, but the fishery for Camelot.
Oh, yeah, this one's at the lure on Petenwell.
Okay.
Dan?
I have nothing.
I have one comment. Today I received something from the Wisconsin DOT. Did you get a copy of that? There's funds and grant money out there now for road repairs and some other things, and it requires a quick reaction. So I did want to bring that up, and let's jump on it, I guess, and see what we can gather out of this. But it looks pretty extensive. So thank you. Dan?
So I'll just mention that Tuesday, February 1st at 6 p.m. there's an ambulance district meeting at Monroe this time.
Yep.
As far as I know, things have been going pretty well. I know there's a couple small things that need some addressing, but
We expected there to be a couple bumps, but yep,
Yep.
all in all, very well. We actually just heard some really positive comments last night at the fire department business meeting about how Lifestar staff has been interacting with the first responders, so that was good.
I have nothing at this time.
Number 8, department and committee reports.
Only, the reports are in the packet, only if there was questions.
And Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
for Parks and Rec, a week from today, January 27th, we will open the bids for the band show. So we hope to see something positive out of that this year, and maybe we can move forward with it sometime this summer. Also, I noticed from the zoning report that we ended up last year with 64 new housing starts. And I think it would be a good idea if we could categorize some of those, all of them, into whether they're gonna be full-time residents or seasonal. Be nice to know.
It's not something we ask when it's, we would have to make individual contact with them, cause it's not part of.
Not on the form?
It's not on the form.
Yeah. Well, if there's any way to do it, it'd be good information to have, I think. Is it?
Dan, have you got anything?
I already went.
Jerry, Dan? I did have one thing on the Rome Water Utility report, and I had to call Chad on this. Something caught my eye, where we had 784 property sales were processed in 2021 compared to 247 in 2020. That just jumped out at me. I did call Chad to verify, and I guess we had, 680 actual closings?
Correct.
But it's that's the impetus for us to keep moving forward on this comprehensive plan and start looking at the future. I mean, we went from 247 to 680 property transfers. That's just mind-boggling. Well, what's next week gonna bring? That's it.
I guess maybe I do have something. Is there an update on the recruiting for the zoning administrator?
Yep, so, we actually just had touched base about that, Chairman and I right before the meeting. We expect to complete interviews by the end of next week, and then I think we're gonna do second interviews, after that, and then would hopefully look to either extend an offer or to do a subsequent recruitment and look at where we recruit it, but we should be finished with interviews by the end of next week.
Okay.
But I'm sure that we will do second interviews.
Anything further?
One comment from Marcy, still hard to hear everybody, including Jamie.
Okay.
Us as well?
Evidently you got the volume cranked way up.
Number 9, discussion and action, approval of the January 6th, 2022 meeting minutes. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Number 10, discussion and action, checks, vouchers, receipts, and journal entries. Approved checks number 43680 to 43762 totaling $148,765.14. Auto payments totaling $62,341.23. State Social Security Medicare withholdings totaling $57,322.78. Payroll vouchers V18081 through V18269 totaling $135,242.15. And checks number 21635 through 21636 totaling $798.43. Receipts number 22854 through 22938 totaling $6,744,139.90. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion to approve as presented.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? And I have several comments, but I'll hold them for later to look at some of the numbers, but we'll go over them later. Not an issue at this point. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Number 11, discussion and possible action, approval of the proclamation number 22 to recognize and thank Pritzel's Trading Post for years of service to the town. Where do you want to start?
Why don't we invite Lori, and if you'd like your husband to join you, you wanna come up? We have both a proclamation on behalf of the town, and Senator Teston is here tonight, and he has a proclamation on behalf of the state from himself and Representative Krug to present you this evening too. So, why don't we have you come up to the front, and we'll just move this mic around a little bit. Just,
John, you don't know?
so Senator Teston, you wanna? Sure.
Got a camera?
Well, thank you, Chairman and members of the town board. I think anyone who has ever come through Adams County has come to know Pritzel's as a feature and a landmark, and it's been that way for years. And although we're saddened to see you leave and move on to the next chapter, we wanted to commend you for all your years of service and great customer service here in the town of Rome. And so we have a citation of commendation here. Whereas in 1976, Dolores and Norman Pritzel opened Pritzel's Corner Mart, and whereas through their vision and hard work, Dolores and Norman Pritzel developed the family business into a community institution. And whereas Lori Pritzel O'Keefe, daughter to Dolores and Norman Pritzel, has continued to provide exceptional service and quality at what has become known as Pritzel's Trading Post. And whereas the Pritzel family has been a pillar of the community by providing employment to hardworking members in the community and offering a positive shopping experience to both local and vacation and families alike. And I'm gonna riff here a little bit. It's amazing to me anytime you knew when summer was finally here in Wisconsin, because the parking lot would just be flooded with plates from Illinois and elsewhere. So no question it's become a destination. Whereas Pritzel's Trading Post is one of the main shopping centers in the town of Rome, and the identity of the business in town are linked very closely. And whereas Pritzel's Trading Post has grown significantly over the years, expanding to 17,000 square feet from the original 800 in 1976. Whereas Lori Pritzel, after operating business following her parents' tenure, is grateful that it will remain a center of the community. Now, therefore, on behalf of the Wisconsin State Legislature, on the motion of Senator Patrick Teston and Representative Scott Krug, do hereby commend and congratulate the Pritzel family for their dedication to their community and to the state of Wisconsin. Congratulations.
One of those four will have to work.
Then one more, if someone could make a motion to accept our proclamation?
Move to accept the Town of Rowan proclamation on Churchill's Parading Post.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. We got a bunch more whereas's coming up here. This proclamation number 22-01, proclamation to recognize and thank Pritzl's Trading Post for years of service to the town of Rome community. Whereas originally named Pritzl's Corner Mart, Pritzl's Trading Post had the long-standing unofficial slogan that if Pritzl's didn't sell it, you must not have needed it. I can swear to that. And whereas Lori Pritzl O'Keefe shared her parents' entrepreneur spirit, doubling the size of the store in 2006 and serving as the community's gas, grocery, post office, and all-around gathering spot. And whereas, while the Trading Post provided locals and visitors with local produce, meat department, full deli case, fresh bakery, hot coffee, service counter, walk-in beer cave, hand-scooped ice cream, and all the fishing and hunting essentials one might need. Did we miss anything?
I think you nailed it.
It was the rapport that Lori Pritzl O'Keefe and all the employees at Pritzl's had with the customers that was valued the most. And whereas Pritzl's Trading Post generously in the greater Rome community was significant and appreciated with plaques of gratitude and cards of thanks often on display at the service counter. And whereas Pritzl's legacy in the town of Rome will live beyond the last sale in stores of good memories visiting the area, good times of meeting friends for a coffee or a sandwich, and the moments of joy finding whatever thingamajig, that's a word I guess, was needed to finish that recipe or project and not have to leave Rome. And whereas, last one, while the town will miss Pritzl's Trading Post, we appreciate and commend Lori Pritzl O'Keefe and all the Pritzl staff for their years of service to the community. We are grateful. Now therefore, be it resolved, the Board of Supervisors of the Town of Rome does hereby recognize and thank Pritzl's Trading Post for the years of service to the community. And we have a plaque for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori.
Very much appreciated. Couldn't have done it without you guys. The community, the team, my parents.
We're gonna miss you.
Thank you. It was a good ride though.
Great job.
Number 12, discussion and possible action, approval of recommendation from the Plan Commission on consideration of a site plan of operation to construct a commercial storage building on the property located at 1106 County Road D, owned by Joe Polasek, I guess, hopefully I didn't destroy it. Also described as east 1/2, southeast 1/4, northeast 1/4, section 08, town 20 north, range 06 east, Town of Rome, Adams County, Wisconsin, with a property identification number of 030-00641-0010. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion to approve the recommendation of the Plan Commission to approve the site plan operation for the said property.
Second.
Any discussion?
I would just like to make one comment, and that is, although this is the site plan of operation, this item also was a conditional use permit request at the Plan Commission meeting. And in approving the conditional use permit, there were two conditions that were put on there that do have some impacts on the site plan and plan of operation. I believe you have the findings of fact in front of you this evening, but just for everybody watching as well, the two conditions were, first, that the first 200 feet from the center of the road must meet Gateway Overlay District standards and requirements. And second, that personal storage may not exceed 10% of the building square footage. Just one other comment then to the site plan of operation item. The Plan Commission, in recommending approval of the site plan of operation, did recommend that approval with a condition that any outdoor storage be screened from the road.
And by screening, is that foliage, trees?
It could be placing the outside storage away from view of the road, so behind the building. Otherwise, yes, screening with some form of foliage. I believe the individual had indicated that he wasn't going to remove a lot of the front trees, and so that would also be screening it.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion is carried. Number 13, discussion and possible action, approval of recommendation from the Plan Commission on consideration of a site plan of operation for the Quick Trip store to be located at 251 State Road 13, also described as PT Northeast 1/4, Southwest 1/4, Section 08, Town 20 North, Range 06 East, Lot 1, CSM 3470, Town of Rome, Adams County, Wisconsin, with a property identification number of 030-00652-0000. Can I get a motion, please?
Also moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Really? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Number 14, discussion only, review of Strand and Associates Water Systems Expansion Preliminary Design and Plan Report for Potential Expansion Project. I'd ask Jamie to give us some information on this so we can start thinking about the costs and start getting into discussion if it's a project to keep moving forward with or what the board wants to consider going forward on this. Jamie?
So there was a brief memo in the packet. Chad is also here. I think we'll invite him to come up to the mic too. This report was completed by Strand and Associates. It was just presented at the Utilities Committee at their meeting at the beginning of this month. Strand did come and present the report. The Utilities Committee is in a place now where they're reviewing it, and at the next meeting, we're gonna talk about benefits or pros and cons of the expansion, if anything needs to be added to the report, if there's additional information that we wanna seek from Strand and have that included. But I do think the report does a nice outline of the existing infrastructure at the water utility, that it could accommodate the capacity for an expansion with what we currently have for infrastructure, and some cost estimates of what that expansion would include.
The board had questions for Mr. Ziegler. Can you at least start off with costs involved, unit cost for
Cost
property
involved
lines?
right now is roughly $12 million. Our X2 in our, I'm trying to find that here.
X2 is on the very last page.
This is the very last page?
Yep. I would mention that 12, the figure that Chad just gave you, there is a nice map included that has the 6 colors. That's how the project would get, if completed, that's likely how it would be bid, is to do those project colors in that, we could determine the order, but that's how much would go at one time in order to make the project achievable in summer timeframe.
Keep going.
Go ahead.
What are you expecting Chad to share? I sit on
Well,
the
the
utility
number-
committee, so I.
We're looking at per property cost, how we're gonna fund it, how is it gonna be applied to the property owners? Is it a project to continue moving forward and spending money on? I'm asking the board for opinions.
I mean, so it's $12,000 to $15,000 per parcel, based on current state. There's 3 phases to the project. I think where the utility committee kinda landed at this point is, it's gonna be up to public opinion and what their appetite is to swallow that, right? We know we've got a number of people scattered about Sherwood that want Rome water. We know there's others that know their water isn't that great and they could do better. And there's other people whose wells are just fine in their opinion and they don't wanna pay it. So really it comes down to, yeah, do we wanna take the next step of getting the marketing together, so to speak, knowing that the utility itself, as far as operations is concerned, can stomach it. But then you determine where's your areas of interest. If one of those phases is the most of the interest, then maybe we just execute that phase and keep the rest on the shelf for when the day comes, but,
So we have options.
yeah, there's options, yeah.
One other piece that, and Chad can correct me if I don't say this all right in the first round, but, so we've had a conversation both with Strand and the Public Service Commission, who would govern, the expansion project, and then the rates that would be redetermined after the project. Any project that has, if it would be a looping of a system, or if it would benefit the overall infrastructure for the entire utility, that could be of a utility cost, and it could be paid for by the utility. This project wouldn't be deemed that, and so unless there was a piece of it that the town, no, not the utility, but the town would like to pay for, that could offset the numbers that Supervisor Goldman is saying. That would be of a town expense and would have to be added likely to levy cost. But there wouldn't be an opportunity for that to be funded through water utility, cause there isn't a piece of this project that's for the overall benefit of the existing system.
And we've already determined there's really no grant funds available for this project.
We were also told that the safe drinking water loan may not qualify for us too. So we're still looking at what possibilities of funding that we would be able to.
What effect would that have? Is that just simply an interest rate or
Safe
a
drink-
source?
Yeah, interest rates big time, yeah. Right now, I think, what is our interest rate on our
I would
existing
have to
one?
look.
1% or 1.5%, I believe.
Given the
So-
competitiveness that we've seen with going even to private market though right now with just general obligation bonds, we might be able to still get close. The one of the concerns with the safe water drinking loan program is you cannot pay it off early. You have to stay with it for the extent of as long as you take it, where if
Normally, they're 20 years.
yeah, if we did a geo bond and we were able to pay off early, we could.
Another thing worth noting, because I got a better understanding of it through this process, is that expanding the water utility is not likely to have any significant impact on the rates that current users pay,
No,
either favorably or unfavorably.
correct.
Yes.
Just so that
They are
everybody's clear on
pushing that we do a small rate case of like 3%, because we haven't done it since 2006. So the PSC and the DR both, when we had our conversation, really pushed on that subject to get a small rate case of 3%. Just so everybody knows that one.
So they wanna go 3% even though we're in the top 10% for rates in the country right now, or the state right now.
We'd have to do the calculations on those again. I think that was likely true at one point in time. I think because we haven't done a rate case since 2006 or 2007, I don't know that we're in that top 10% anymore.
We are.
I'm currently doing a kind of just looking at our rates versus other communities, plus I'm also looking at what possible infrastructure changes we may have to change or update in the future. I know our loans come due in 2027 completely.
2025 and 2027.
Yeah, so by 2027, it's almost 400,000. So what I'm trying to look at is where we're gonna be with that versus our rate of return. We average about 4% rate of return right now every year. We're allowed 7, but we've been averaging as electric bills and materials and all this stuff is going up. That's why they really are pushing for a smaller rate increase, so that in 10 years from now, we ain't going back asking for a 50 or 100%.
You know, our equipment it's in great condition, but it's always planning for that spot, so when a big item does need to be replaced, we don't experience what, was prior to my time,
In
but.
2006, where we did
had
a
a-
300% increase.
Right, so if you do an increment in order to compensate for that moment in time when you do have that large expense, then it isn't as, a dramatic up and down.
Like I said, I'm trying to, because I don't agree with going back unless we absolutely have to go back. I just have a hard time going back and asking for 3%, because 3% on $1 million is what, $30,000. It ain't that much to go back and really upset the public by a 3% increase. But once I put together the costs of what some of our water mains that are back in the 60s that are swollen up in some areas, on what that cost is gonna be, then I can kinda get a better idea if it's a good idea or not. And I'm working on that for the committee right now.
So how do we go back now to the residents and,
I think we have to do a public
Well, I think the first step is the utilities committee putting together the pros and cons of this and determining if they wanna move forward. If they at their next meeting determine they wanna move forward, we would likely engage with Strand to put together a public, experience where we would do some public sessions, we would do some mailings, we would do some, direct mail or advertising and say, we would like to proceed with this. Are you interested? What would be your concerns? Would you attend this public meeting?
And I hate to say it, but one of the points I made at the utility commission meeting was that this is probably bad timing, given everything else that's going on in the world and the cost of everything increasing for everybody, right? So to stomach the costs on their property to get water is probably not priority number one at this point.
That's
Can
cost
they-
of 12 to 15,000 per person. I mean,
It's never gonna be less.
I know, but I'm just
But-
saying.
Can the water utility allow a new user to amortize the connection fee over a period of years if they convert?
Yeah, if we do our assessment and do an ordinance of some sort or policy of our assessment process, water utility doesn't have one right now. Usually what I've seen in the past is going over a 20-year period. Usually if the loan stretched out 20 years, the assessment process for the homeowner went 20 years.
Then they have 10 years to connect from the date of their well, right?
Depending on, right now, the way the ordinance sits, 10 years from when the well was drilled.
Okay.
But all that can change.
So certainly Supervisor Goldman is on the utilities committee, so if you had input that you wanted to share at that next meeting, you could either ask Dan to share, or it's February 1st at 10 o'clock here in this meeting, that we would be discussing those pros and cons and next steps.
Okay.
But I would agree that, I'm not sure which supervisor said it, but it won't get less expensive
No.
from here. And so we're kind of at a moment, like, if we're gonna proceed and do this, it makes sense that we make that final decision.
But you have to sell a lot of property owners on spending that kind of money.
Yeah, I
And you
don't think
also-
there's no just doing it. It
No.
very
No.
much.
Yeah.
And one of the other
it's
things to really
majority
think
public.
about, figure like even with Camelot, we have 300 and some empty lots. Depending on, I don't have the exact number for empty lots in Sherwood, but there's quite a few, and they would get the same thing. You know, is that lot really worth $15,000? And the other thing to think about too is this is just a curb stop in the property. This isn't going from the curb stop to the house. There's another couple of grand. Interest over a 20-year period could be, you know, it may cost that person $20,000 by the time it's all over. And I'm not saying I'm against
Well,
it. I'm just, I think this is a lot of money. You know, back when in 2006, when we did this water main project around the Lake Camelot, it was $55 a foot for 12-inch water main. I think we're looking at somewhere of $150, $175 a foot now. And yes, it's not gonna get any cheaper.
It won't get cheaper, and we also don't know the future of the water quality down the road either.
No,
And
we don't.
we also have to factor in the cost of putting new wells in, and, I mean, there's a lot of things to consider, but I wanna make sure it's all out there, so. Laurie, do you have a question?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Do you have an idea of where
Sorry,
the port?
up to my
Oh,
head.
sure, I'm sorry. Do you have an understanding or an idea of where the poor water quality is concentrated in Sherwood? Is there one particular area where people are concerned? That would be one question I had. And then, do you have an idea of how many people have expressed an interest to actually hook up, and are they concentrated primarily in one area? And thank you.
I might have a little answer.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Iron in manganese is an issue throughout the town of Rome, which is not a health issue, it's just aesthetics problem. I don't know exactly if you're in Sherwood, if you have an iron issue.
Well, we do.
Yeah, it's pretty much everywhere in the town of Rome for iron and manganese. As far as the interest of people, back in '06, '07, '08, we did go out and ask Sherwood, because that's when we originally started looking at an expansion. And at that time, and a few people had called here and there because they bought a lot and wanted to know, you know, I don't wanna drill a well, how long before water gets here? I would say maybe 20 to 50 people in the last 5-6 years.
The flip side of that is you closed on 680 properties this year. So I don't know that the numbers from, we've had a lot of transition,
Yes, we have.
which makes sense if, to ask the question then.
But one of the other things too I'm going to bring to the committee meeting is looking at our existing water mains. And this has been an eye-opener for me as far as costs. If there is gonna be issues, we take out let's just say we take out a $12 million loan to do this. We are getting the assessment money back, but what if in 5 years we have to start replacing huge amounts of water main? We do have our little situations, little issues with water main, but I sat down with somebody who actually really knows our concrete mains pretty good. So I'm putting together something to see if we have to start, I don't think we wanna go out and borrow another $20 million or $10 million if we already have 10 million. So I'm gonna put all that together for the committee.
That's the other reason why PSC and Strand has said to go back for the simplified rate case. No matter what occurs, you still have a water utility that you wanna keep in good operation.
And then you don't go back, and get 300% later. So I'll have all that for that utility meeting on the 1st.
I just want to bring the board into the loop, and any other questions on this? It seems like we should still move forward, but start bringing the residents into the loop.
Yeah, I think we're pretty close to that once we get our pros and cons done. I think that's gonna be pretty close to the next step. Because I don't wanna go forward and spend a ton of money and then all of a sudden, boom, it's a huge no. So,
Okay, any other questions, thoughts?
Yeah, just a question on this one sheet here, 2005.
yes,
The total water sales was 59,842. That was back in 2005.
59 million.
If it's in millions, yeah. I don't see that it says anywhere what the scale is, but in either case, in 2020, it's it's gone down to 22,000.
Water meters.
Yeah,
Water meters were installed in 2006. So they had unlimited water in prior to 2006. So water usage has gone down since then. The water
That
meters
explains.
goes in because people they get charged. They don't just sprinkle for nothing anymore.
Okay. All right, thank you. Number 15, discussion of possible action. The town board may vote to go into closed session under section 19.85 sub 1 sub G of the Wisconsin statutes, which reads, conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved, for the purpose of conferring with a town attorney who will be giving advice with respect to a notice of claim received. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion to go in closed session pursuant to state stat 19.85 sub 1 sub G.
Second.
Any discussion? Can I get a roll call vote starting from my left?
Weisinger, yes.
Minter, yes.
Hasdell, yes.
Goldman, yes.
all right, yes.
We are now in closed session.
We'll exit into the other room, and just a reminder, welcome to stay in this room, but the mics stay live and the cameras stay on.
My phone's being nice with me. People won't let me share the photos till I get home on my phone.
Thank you.
Of course, if you take a glass of water and get my beer, I'm not gonna wanna drink it.
Please help me.
You have to drink it all.
I mean, our water was like that up in
All right.
No, I appreciate it.
We have to get together for dinner.
That's all right. But I said what I wanted to say. Past issues with our water, which they are.
I know, I read the report on what we got for concrete, and what we got for. They are, well, the concrete one's gonna be replaced, the plastic probably not, right?
90% of our systems.
And that's the reason for the 3% too.
Yeah.
The three, cause that 300%, Mr. East, that's over for that. Didn't he?
He did. But here's the thing, if we take out, I don't think we should be doing Sherwood. There's no absolute reason to charge somebody $15,000 to go for water.
Well, and you just
I've been
told
doing
me
this for
something.
20 years.
Is it only on the Camelot?
Right now, city water's only on Camelot.
It was originally their well,
Yeah, it was privately owned by Camelot originally.
and then the town ended up having to take it over. Get it fixed.
Against it.
Are you in Camelot?
You're not on Sherwood either.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you were not saying something, you were on Sherwood.
I didn't know where you were talking.
Sherwood, Sherwood.
Yeah, well, I think too, maybe it's, if some people, depending on the type of well they have, maybe they need to go deeper, maybe they need to
Oh,
go shallower,
deeper usually
maybe.
gets what, worse?
Oh, see, cause over by us, we were, over.
Arrowhead has got beautiful
We
water.
have excellent water.
Arrowhead has beautiful
Over in
water. I
Kingswood,
wanted
we
to
had
drill a
board,
well there.
in fact, Jamie's house, well, she told me this earlier, but we never complained about our water, but we had gorgeous water, I loved our water. Drink it right out of the tap in the hose.
I'm just tired.
You just don't let it sit for a while.
Oh, I don't know,
I found out that
Stink.
humidifier gets a little bit of
Oh, you need to get it back, you need to get one of those,
slimy thing.
oh, you-
Slimy.
you've gotta get that, for our humidifier, we just got some of that too, you've gotta get that back to light or whatever they call it to help it, but I used to love iron water growing up way up north, because I washed my hair and it would make the red in my hair get really, really red.
Yep, it would.
I hated drinking it sometimes, but then I'd have that many more freckles.
Oh, yeah.
But,
No.
no, I am concerned because with that comes a whole, be careful what you wish for, you know, it's just like with the sewer, it's like, yeah, car wash and a laundromat, but what are all the other things that could come along with that? Just like if you expand the water utility, you know, there's more expense involved. So then people's bills are naturally gonna have to come up to cover those expenses, because you're
Their
running more
user
water.
fees will cover the different expenses, their, assessment will pay the loan back.
Friday night.
But we're gonna need more staff, we're gonna need
Well,
more
there's
employees.
overhead, that's what I was trying to get at, is
There's a lot of overhead.
there's more maintenance, so you gotta
Oh,
be on
God,
call, yeah,
Oh,
and,
God, yeah.
and then there's also the possibility something could go wrong, or something over there breaks, or, you know, I have enough raised water.
We have to
Yeah.
work 365 days a year, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. If you threw in a doubled our system, we're already kind of shorthanded, we really are.
I can't walk.
I mean, it just, this whole thing would take off.
We don't travel. Well, so maybe that's the conversation that needs to
I've
take
had-
place,
we've
it's
had
like,
the conversation.
no, I mean with the people, once it gets to the people, when they have.
Say no, it's a waste of
I
time.
think it's a waste of time to spend. The rest of us are, it's my personal.
We
If
spent
you're gonna-
$23,000 already to get a new.
Well, and to have this,
Sorry.
to have Strand come out and,
Just because they wanna
keep, that's not gonna be cheap
Right.
either, so.
It's not.
And then you gotta send out mailers and, I think the first thing should be is survey the people in Sherwood and see how many have bad water. And when
We
you say
kinda
bad,
have,
oh.
there is no bad.
Well, then.
They're
then
only
that-
just a
that's
step.
what you told me to get that.
I did, I told them that there's not, no issues except for iron and
Iron and
manganese.
manganese, manganese.
Just
okay.
aesthetic, there's no health
All right.
concerns on Arrowhead, or on Sherwood.
Fill it out.
Where does that finger?
To the front office.
Really? Is it,
On her own?
And the utility committee.
is it?
Well, and there's gotta be people at Camelot that are,
No, Camelot's dead against it because they're afraid of their rates and they're gonna have to pay for it.
so they do understand that at Camelot, like the guy at Strand said at that meeting, that it's not gonna make any difference to your rates.
No, it's not,
Right,
unless
so,
we raise it 3% because we have to.
right, and I think the PSC, and I can give a perfect example of that. We sent our son to private school, parochial school, Christian day school. They didn't raise the tuition for like maybe 4 years, and then all of a sudden they decided to give, and I was, they should have given the teachers raises all along, but then all of a sudden we were hit with this high increase. Well, Christian school's expensive as it is, and then all of a sudden you get this big increase. It's like gradually raise it along the way, so that you don't get hit with a 300%. Huh?
I screwed up.
seen you around before.
I'm running for town board too,
Oh, how do you know I am?
because I was told there's 4 people and those were the names of the people.
I wasn't told anything.
You have to ask. I asked.
When I was originally asking about it, I was told that nobody else was on it either,
Yeah, well,
besides Bob.
well,
And then when I turned my papers in, I was told there were 5 people who took the papers out.
oh, I was told that, oh.
But
Well-
only 4 actually turned them in.
Right, right.
Who is the other person besides Bob?
A Bob, or no, a Dan Stoyle that would be
I just
1, 2,
figured that I
3
don't-
people from Canada.
And that's one of the things, is I know there's a lot from Canada versus we're in McElroy.
And I answered
you weren't gonna stick around.
You don't wanna hear the exciting conclusion here? All right, number 16, discussion of possible action. Pursuant to section 19.85 sub 2 Wisconsin statutes, the town board will return to open session and may take action or recommendations on any matter discussed in closed session or for such other purposes as are allowed by law. Can I get a motion, please?
I move to return to open session.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Can I get a motion?
Okay, I move to disallow the claim by Michael Farrington dated December 21st, 2021, and received December 28th, 2021, and have our clerk treasurer, Mrs. Reitman, send a certified letter to Mr. Farrington informing him of the same.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Okay, dates and items for future agenda meetings. Number 17, next agenda items.
I do have a draft of the report that we had talked about from Ellers, talking about future growth and tip closure. I don't really have a whole lot of other items for the 3rd, so, and if there's other items that come up this evening, I don't know that we wanna have the meeting on the 3rd just for that. I would have to check with Greg Johnson just to make sure that would also work into his schedule, cause I'd like him to be present that evening.
If-
Otherwise,
If things go our way with Parks and Rec on the band show, and we open the bids on the 27th, we want to have that on a future date. I'm not sure that it has to be on the 3rd right away, excuse me. But hopefully we'll have a positive
If we have-
bids that we can bring to the board.
If we have the meeting on that date, we could do ARPA.
yep,
Final
ARPA?
report has been released now, so we
Yes.
can do ARPA.
yep, okay.
So tentative.
Tentative for the 3rd. Was there any other items that anyone else had? Okay, just check.
Okay, so we got next meeting date and time and agenda. Can I get a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. We are adjourned.
Let's talk.